All aboard your tech and games caboose. We have a couple of VR headsets, one from Oculus Rift S, which is pretty cool, as well as the HP Reverb VR headset. So they're in a little bit of a different pricing categories, but we're going to compare them anyways. So let's start off with what is similar between the two. Actually, different prices obviously, but they both seem like they're built for comfort. A lot of the first gen VR headsets had some issues with the different straps that they were using. And then they're also using basically inside-outside tracking, so they have cameras that are tracking the outside. The Oculus Rift S looks like 5 cameras, 2 in the front, 2 in the sides, and then 1 on the top. And then the HP Reverb also has outside cameras that will be tracking your environment, so you don't have to actually set up cameras basically tracking your whole room and you basically. So let's start off looking at the Oculus Rift S. This is coming spring 2019. We get some cool videos and everything. We get some resolution. It says 2560 by 1440p resolution, and they're using a single display in this. So that's going to have a couple different good and bad things about it. And then there's some take a step forward in tracking. Here's some of the tracking is showing the cameras, how it tracks everything around you, furniture, walls, and all of that. And then there's some requirements and everything there, but we have a really good outline from Upload VR. They have really good breakdowns of stuff, and we're going to go over some of that since they talk about specs really well. So it looks like they're using again 5 tracking cameras, and then we get the resolution 2160. This is for total resolution. This was the original Rift, so it's being upgraded a little bit, roughly 40% more pixels. That's a pretty big upgrade. And then they're not using the OLED like they did last time. It's a single LCD, and it's going to be downgraded a little bit in hertz, so it's going to be 80 hertz versus 90. A lot of people mentioned they didn't really notice it because this was being tested out a little bit at GDC, I believe. So fast switch LCDs, so they're using 3 subpixels instead of 2 like previous models. This can help with screen door effect. It's noted right here, so pretty good there. That will help with a lot of the issues with VR and your eyes being so close to the displays. You can see a lot of that. And then inside-outside tracking, 5 cameras again they're using for that. And then they have 2 controllers that are coming with this. They're similar to the Oculus Touch controllers, but it looks like it's mentioned that they're on the top instead of placed a little bit lower. So pretty interesting there. And then again with the head strap, all the VR headsets are going for comfort. They're also trying to make everything lighter, so there's less weight on your head, so you're feeling it less, and the cord's not being pulled as much. So they're doing stuff with that as well. So no physical IPD adjustment. So this is the distance between your eyes basically. And they mentioned that there could be some digital things that they could do with the actual screen. So a digital IPD adjustment, but some of the mentions were that people weren't really using it in the right way in the first place, and there's a lot of issues with it. So they kind of just took a different route, and they used the single panel, which you can't separate the single panel. So they're gonna potentially try a digital, interesting idea there. And then the strap type audio. So the audio is actually going to come from the straps, and that'll leave your ears exposed so you can hear sounds outside. And you can probably obviously add your own headphones to get rid of outside noise if you're in a noisy environment. So that is still probably an option. And the PC requirements. Despite having a higher resolution display than the Rift S maintains the same CPU and GPU requirements. So it looks like they're using the same rendering. What they're rendering from the game, that resolution is going to be the exact same, but the display is a little bit higher, so that will help with the screen door effect again. So that is that. And then we get a little video of, here's some of the cameras, and this is the intro video. Here's some improved Fresnel lenses, and for spectacular sights, there's a couple of games that are coming out for VR. There's a couple cool ones going on. I didn't get to look at all of them, but they were pretty good games. And I guess that leads us into the HP, the pricing for this is $400, spring 2019. So there is that. And now that leads us into a little bit more expensive a headset. This is $650. There's a Pro edition, and then a $600 for the consumer edition. And this is going to have a really high resolution of 2160 by 2160 per eye. So that's like 4000 by 2160 basically resolution. So pretty crazy resolution for this HP headset. And this one is also going to have cameras on the outside tracking around everything, and full RGB sub-pixels as well. And this one has the 114-degree field of view, where we're not quite sure what the Oculus Rift S is going to have. Somewhere between 90 and 100 we can probably assume, but not quite as high field of view as some of the other headsets are trying to push these days. And then we get to see some other things from this. This is going to have dual mics as well, and inside-outside tracking. 2 controllers are going to come with this as well. If you can see a shot of the controllers. Actually, we do in the video, so let's check out the video, which is pretty good. So the Pro Edition, I believe, comes with an extra cord and a washable face mask, which was for like being used at maybe arcades or something, but that was the only real difference for the $50 extra, and more people would be using it. So that was that. And then 114-degree, so large field of view, you'll be able to see more, and that is good for VR. Again, comfort head straps. So there's going to be a ring on the back of this one. It doesn't really like super adjust, but it's going to even out the pressure on the back instead of just a strap pulling. So that should be pretty good for comfort in VR. So that is good to see. And this is going to be lighter than light as well. So that is also a bonus for most of VR headsets. So pretty good there. And then we get some Upload VR. It talks a little bit about it. This is going to be a pretty sharp resolution headset with, you're going to need a good computer as well. I believe some of the requirements were 1080 and above in the spec sheet. So that is a pretty medium to high requirement for headsets. So those are your 2 headsets. You're just going to see the Oculus Rift with a little bit lower resolution headset for around $400, including the controllers. And you won't need base stations because it has the inside-outside tracking. And then you get the HP Reverb VR, which is going to have the really high resolution, 2160 by 2160 per eye. So that is pretty high resolution for $600. So that one is coming out in late April for the HP Reverb VR headset. And that also comes with 2 controllers, and you won't have to set up base stations as well. So that's pretty easy to get into it. And there's some cool VR announcements. There was a couple other things going on. There's some Oculus Quest hands-on people were doing at GDC. Pimax had a bunch of different versions of their headsets released. There was also some news from them as well. Some HTC Vive had an announcement and everything as well. So, or some press stuff. So there's a lot of VR stuff going on and everything else today. So we'll have to see how they do when they release and how VR continues to take off. Hopefully it's not doing super well. It's pretty expensive to have a computer and the headset all in and cheap. So there is that, and we will have another episode tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific with some more tech and games, and not 3 episodes with a bunch of crazy stuff going on. So we will be signing out. Pew, 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 pew.